I don't want to spend time with women I'm not sleeping with. Former male friend. Like many women, I have friends of both genders. I think of them as just friends. I thought this was normal and healthy. But wait, there's Chris. We had met at a social in a park. We had spent most of the afternoon chatting with others in the group and exchanged numbers without any romantic intentions. Over the next few days and weeks, Chris and I texted casually. No flirtation. No double entendres. Not even any compliments. Just regular day-to-day stuff. We met up again with another girl from the social to go see a movie together. No big deal. He offered to drive me home. I went with him to his apartment to pick up the car and he showed me his place and we chatted for a bit before hitting the road. There was no physical contact. No special looks. Nothing. Fast forward a couple weeks later. I had been open with Chris that I was seeing someone. I invited Chris to the end of summer fair and he asked why my guy wasn't going. I said he was working. So Chris agreed to go. The day before the fair. Chris is silent. The day of the fair. Chris remains silent. I found someone else to go with and messaged Chris later that evening to say he had forgotten about the fair. No response. The day after, I get a series of messages from Chris. He suddenly declared, I don't want to spend time with women I'm not sleeping with. He added bitterly that I said I was seeing someone else and he doesn't want to be a backup option. I was floored. Chris and I had never flirted. He had never asked me out. He had made zero effort to be anything more than a very casual friend to me. In what universe was sex on the table? Was every text message he ever sent me some veiled attempt to get sex without any actual investment or effort on his part? Why was I suddenly not worth being around without sex? What the fuck happened? I challenged him on what he said, noting that we had never gone on a date. He had never asked me out, and there was no indication on any of our parts that a sexual or romantic connection was there. I added that I was not a hookup gal and nothing about me says that. He blamed me for his feelings and wouldn't acknowledge that anything about this situation was wrong or an ugly surprise. It's so toxic that there are men who don't even want to be around women if they can't use us for sex. It's so toxic that men can think that without any investment on their part they are owed sex. This guy literally thought that sex was his entitlement and that without it there was no point with the acquaintance. Apparently none of our conversations or jokes exchanged had any value in his life without sex. Can't I exist around a man without being a sex object? Can't I be a human being instead of an orifice? Can't I have a male friend without having to wonder if he's just talking to me for a vague hope of sex? I remember being in my friend's apartment and him saying that I don't let women into my space unless I'm going to fuck them. I was scared shitless. Thank God someone called me and I had a quick and easy exit. There are a lot of men who think they like women but they don't. They just like sex. They like the idea of women and a relationship. That's it. Everything else you have to do or say is just annoying at best. What a dumbass. The internet is breaking these men's brains. These are men who don't see women as people, so they're no more useful to them than the presence of someone else's pet. They should remain perpetually single. So, how does he handle family gatherings? His fragile ego could not understand how you had the audacity to spend time with him and not know you were expected to put out. And then on every sub in here they're like it's so lonely to be a man. Nobody even makes casual conversation with us crying. This is why I flat out won't deal with people who believe in the friend zone. There's no zone. It's just called friendship. And if you think it's some substandard consolation prize of sorts for not getting to fuck me, then we don't need to associate ever again. It's so devaluing and shows just how much they respect women. If they can't think of a single upside to being friends with a woman for any reason other than wanting to bang. Lol. Because men who connect with women on a non-romantic level are usually more successful with dating and in relationships. It's wildly considered a huge green flag if a guy has many women friends. And you don't connect to female friends if you refuse to spend time with women if you can't have sex. I don't know if it's an age thing or what, but I feel like I've been seeing more of this behavior lately. I swear these men are resentful that women even exist as independent people with their own wants, needs, desires. He saw you as a means to an end, his own orgasm, and then lost his shit when your perspective didn't match his. Did you guys see that thread on r Ask Men the other day that asked about whether or not they could have female friends? There was a lot of this attitude that Chris had. Chris, I don't get it. I have a penis. Why has she not invited me to penis her? I mean, I always have it with me and everything. Is she blind? Just like the guy from R Am I the Devil who goes nuclear and blocks women on everything if they turn him down at all. Men like this only view women as potential sex objects, not as full humans who have their own inherent worth. They view women as pointless if they aren't fucking them, and then wonder why they can't get any women to sleep with them. It's their own pathetic self-fulfilling prophecy. This is the same type of man that would say he doesn't want you to have male friends, because he himself would never be friends with a woman he wasn't trying to have sex with, so therefore every other man must feel the same way. A bunch of men on Reddit have said the same. Did they not hear themselves saying I don't like women? And I feel like when confronted their weak and scary response to this would be I don't have to like you to F you. Which is also awful. The easiest way to see a man's true character is by observing how he treats people that he has no sexual romantic interest in and absolutely cannot benefit from. At 35 I lost my last close straight male friend. He got engaged and told me it was no longer appropriate for us to hang out. For reference, I'm a lesbian. I've always been a lesbian. He's always known I'm a lesbian. And we had been friends for 10 years. Men like him are toxic assholes. Imagine thinking that way about half the human population. They don't consider women people. It's so gross. I feel really lucky to have so many better examples of humans in my real life. Because some of these stories are just fucking wild, lol. It is such a twisted logic. Guys like that do literally nothing to pursue a romantic relationship, yet they get offended when their friends find a partner that's not them. What exactly were they expecting? Men do not, by and large, value women as people. My wife had an ex-friend like that. They shared a love of photography. They would go on photo trips, take pictures of planes at a nearby Air Force base. At some point he dropped the charade and stated pretty much the same thing. That he wasn't interested in being her friend if she was seeing someone me. The awkward but was that I knew him professionally as we worked in the same industry. And a year or so later on a job was working on the same site as him and was taken aback by the vehement and gross ways he referred to her. Some men are disgustingly simple, self-centered idiots. Guy built a relationship in his head. Not your fault, but he's also not your friend. If it makes you feel better. He probably did genuinely enjoy time you spent together on a subconscious level. Unfortunately, on a conscious level, his ego does not value that. He chooses to ignore feelings that aren't aligned with an agenda of conquest. I'm sorry this happened to you. Dude is a toxic ass. And his misery is something he spreads to others.